All right. Well, I got to do this because it's like a ritual. Because when you see the big audio like jump, you know where to put it.
I trust me, I understand.
You get it. You get it.
Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon! Bacon is my... Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my...
Welcome, everybody, to Bacon is My Podcast, where today Jimmy got a little bit better looking. Up over that way. Today, no, Jimmy is actually out in Nebraska. He's out in Nebraska in the cornfields.
Coming to you from Nebraska right now. It's me, Jimmy.
Your name tag says otherwise. we can see that. We can see that over on Strangerhood TV. Ladies and gentlemen, we have not only the co-host to an awesome podcast that I happen to listen to and shout out all the time. She's with the band, but also also a former guest of the show, right? And one of the OG believers in Bacon's My Podcast, because she was one of the only PR agents who wasn't like, Bacon is my... Fuck that.
I mean, I silently was like, what is this podcast about? But then I figured it out and was like, oh, this is sick. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Tori Kravitz is helping me co-host today. What's going on, dude?
Dude, I have big shoes to fill. Like, Jimmy's your guy. Like, for me to be in his position, I take this opportunity with the utmost respect, and I appreciate your trust.
I appreciate that you think that there's big shoes to fill, but we're not that professional. And you would know that if you listen to She's with the Band, because her and Alicia know what they're doing, because that's what they did. Like, that's what they did coming into the industry. They came up and they were like interviewers and stuff like that. And Jimmy and I have only been doing it for 2.5 years, and we still don't know what we're doing. But it'll be good to have you.
Style of like how conversational it is and off the cuff it is. I think it's almost this interesting balance where Alicia and I sometimes are too professional, where we're like, chill out. You do a podcast now. It's not that serious. So I learned from you all too.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Hopefully, hopefully you learned something from this. I don't know. We'll see. But no, dude, thank you for hanging out with us, and thank you for doing this. You are super busy in your podcast life, in your PR life. A couple of weeks ago, we both interviewed the same person, which is crazy. We dropped the episode on the same day. It was so funny because like, so I talk about on the episode is that on all episodes is that the best way for me to be able to research people is by listening to people on their podcasts. And I listened to yours and I heard that you had Lena on. It was with Melissa Cross, and I heard that you had Lena on, and I was like, oh dude, we have Lena like later on. I'm so excited because I don't have to listen to a bunch of shitty podcasts, and I'm going to get to listen to hers. And I go, hey, Tori, when does it come out? And you're like, April 10th. And I was like, oh, that's calendar, Google Calendar. Oh, that's the same day. But
yeah,
it's all right.
Well, we try to record a bit far in advance because Alicia and I both have pretty insane schedules. So it was just funny when I saw the Instagram stories that y'all's went up, and I was like, wow, that timing is crazy, because I didn't realize it was going to be literally the same day until I saw it happen. And I was like, wow, Lena must be so confused.
I didn't realize it. I legit didn't realize it like when I asked you when it was coming out, because I was just kind of like, all right, well, I know you did it, so I'm going to ask because I don't want to listen to a crappy podcast. But yeah. It's okay, but you guys ran into the same thing that I did, because back when we started this, it was a lot of like reaching out to everybody and like getting a lot of opportunities, and not get like, if you get an email from a certain person, you're not going to go, nah, wait, Like you can't fucking do that, right? Like when you're starting a podcast.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we had a bit of a different situation, at least with this one, because we have Knotfest backing us up. So
yeah,
when the publicists some of the publicists we worked with since we were teenagers, since we were 13, 14 years old. So when they caught wind of this podcast, it was like the floodgates opened to like, interview this band, interview my band. And we were just like, we only do one episode a week. We can only take on so much, which was an amazing problem to have. But we're definitely a little far in advance on recording because we got so excited with wanting to say yes to everyone that now we're like, sorry, your episode's coming out in 2 months.
Yeah, we had that problem too. And then when we did So What Fest, it was one of those things where it was like, okay, we just did So What Fest. We did 19 interviews. Are we going to literally wait 19 weeks before we put something else out? So like, I know you're going to probably do some festival stuff as well.
It's on the radar.
It's on the radar. Are you guys thinking about doing additional episodes? Especially like you've got a production team behind you a little bit too. Are you going to do like a once a week thing, or if you cover it, are you going to start doing like additional episodes or a YouTube page, or what are you going to do?
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Nothing's been confirmed yet. Everything's still very much up in the air and just in talks. We'll see. I mean, it depends on how many interviews we do. It depends on what Knotfest wants to do. They are so brilliant in the way that they do their content that we kind of just follow their lead in terms of how they want everything rolled out. If it were up to Alicia and I, we'd probably want to do an interview every single day and post every single day. But we can't live that life. So we'll see what happens, I suppose.
Awesome.
But I love doing festivals. When I covered Warped Tour every year, it was like it would be a rollout of 2 episodes a week, and it would still take a month to post them all because you do so many. So yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, we do digress. We could probably do another whole episode now, but we do on this episode, we have a member of the band Outline in Color, a different member. 2.5 years ago, we had Mike Skaggs, the unclean vocalist, quote unquote unclean vocalist. But now, if you listen to their new records, he sings too. But we have the clean vocalist and bass player, Jonathan Grimes. He is a super cool interview. I'm super glad that he is doing interviews more now, because Skaggs just totally, because he was like the original member who's been there all the way through, right? And he started on keyboards, and then he did bass, and then he did vocals and all that stuff. So he's like obviously the guy to talk to. But now we got Jonathan. We're trying to collect them all here on Bacon's My Podcast. You know, it's that's what we try and do here. Like, got to get all the people.
Members, Pokemon.
Exactly. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's all the thing. So let's start that interview. Tori's going to help us out here this week. We're going to start that episode right about now.
Interruption!
I was going to do the hold up. Hey. But that was better.
Nice.
There's no time like today to take care of your hygiene.
Indeed.
And one of those things that can help you, if you're a man or a woman even, Manscaped. Manscaped can help you with their lawnmower 4.0.
Yeah.
Their lawnmower 4.0 has skin-safe technology. It's a ceramic blade. It's waterproof. It's got a nice little LED light, so this way you can see underneath all those crevices.
Shave your privates in the shower in the dark. Don't actually do that.
Don't do that.
But you could.
Yeah, you could with Manscaped.
Because you have a light.
Indeed. And for guys, listen, the perfect package 4.0 is like where it's at for you guys. Because it comes with not only the lawnmower, not only the weed whacker for your ear and nose holes.
Well, we got one. So bring it up real quick. What you also get, so yes, for one, you get the lawnmower 4.0, which is ceramic blades. It's not going to cut you. It's got a guard so you can make sure that you got a trim in some spots, you got to the skin in other spots. You make sure that beanbag's shiny. We also have some
package that beanbag in
underwear.
The underwear.
Yeah,
it's got the little ball pouch.
It does have the ball pouch.
And it's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's great.
Separate. It's technology.
This right here,
I like this.
Is for when you are shaving your balls.
Yeah.
It's little placemats, so this way
it's like a newspaper.
Yeah, but then you just you shave them, you crumple it up, you throw it away. No mess, no fuss.
Yeah.
Right?
It's also got some. It's got some funny articles in it.
It does. It does when you read
I recommend you definitely read it, but not while you're shaving your nuts.
No. There's the ball deodorant.
Yes, I use it every day. Crop preserver.
And the crop reviver.
I don't use it every day, but I have used it plenty of times.
Pretty fantastic. You need that midday spritz.
Yep.
Just go for it. Freshens you up right away.
Who doesn't love a little spritz on the beanbag?
Exactly. And where do I keep it all? Well, right here. The shed, baby.
You know what? The shed is a pouch for the things to clean your pouch.
Exactly.
Right?
I use it personally for my toiletries when I travel.
You do? I've seen it.
I've got multiple. I've got a few of them.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. Go ahead, manscaped.com. Use the promo code BACONPOD.
You get 20% off this entire order plus free shipping. Not only can you get the Perfect Package 4.0, but you can sign up for their program where they will send you new stuff automatically.
New blades.
Every month, every 2 months, every 3 months. You decide what you need. If you need new blades every 3 months, they'll send you new blades every 3 months. If you want to check out maybe the crop mops.
I can't talk about the crop mops enough.
They're my favorite thing.
Yes.
Get those every month.
When you come and you hang out with us and we see you and stuff like that, we always have crop mops on our person. So
yeah, it's like
sure
a business
card,
us. But for Manscaped and not us.
Yes. So go ahead, manscaped.com, promo code BACONPOD, 20% off, free shipping. Call it a day. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to, well, you heard the intro. Today, we are joined by Jonathan Grimes. He is the bass player, but more importantly, the clean vocalist of the band Outline in Color. And I say more importantly because I love to shit on bassists here on this show.
I think we all do. It's okay.
Right? Right. My favorite joke comes from Metalocalypse. I don't know if you've ever watched that show. It is brilliant.
Yes.
But
I love that show. They're going on Death Clock's going on tour with Poppy.
I saw that and I want to go so bad.
I want to go so bad.
I've seen Death Clock. I've seen them live.
Oh, were they good?
Dude, amazing.
I'm jealous.
And it was so cool because it's all right. Well, we've got Jonathan Grimes from Outline in Color here.
Sorry.
Before we get too far into it, but yeah, dude. So basically, what they do is they play, but the band is just silhouette, and then they have animation, like a specific animation just for live shows above them, and in between songs, it's almost like a 2 or 3 minute episode of Metalocalypse every time. Oh my god,
weird.
It was amazing.
I like that though. I mean, why not put the actual show like above you?
Yeah.
Was it like something specific for the concert, or did they do like different like? Yeah. Okay.
It was specific for the concert, and the best part was, between the set and the encore, because it was a cartoon of Murderface going into the bathroom,
Okay.
and he was sitting down, and they were like, "Oh, it's gonna be a while." He's like, "I'm just peeing," and then it was like this whole thing about how Murderface sits when he pees. In between that, it was hilarious. It was
and then
just
he
amazing.
pees for 15 minutes straight, and that's all you hear in the speakers for 15 minutes.
It wasn't.
I'd lose my
wasn't,
mind.
But it would have been funny. But it was a great show. But you guys are going on tour soon.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Speaking
You're
of
gonna do shows. Is there gonna be any animation at this?
There could be.
You should.
There could be. I mean, nothing's out of the question. We had a on Halloween we had an Arby's logo behind all of us, and Skaggs wore a dress.
The only way for people watching to know if there's going to be any of this stuff is to come to one of the shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
In hopes of some animation, right?
Oh, there's always something. There's always something at each show. We just have to figure out what it is. I really want them to John Cena or Rickroll everybody. Like, can you play this song? Play "Eat Your Heart Out," and then Rickrolled her. It's John Cena or something like absolutely like I want it so bad. They got the robotic Siri voice to do the opening line to that song, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
It was a previous
That's
tour.
pretty awesome.
To like that or not, but
I like that kind of creativity.
So real quick, something that I love about Outlining Color is, and this is something that kind of started popping up in rock, and I don't know why it didn't happen before, is you guys do tons of collaborations, right?
Oh yeah.
And that I love that because I get buddies of mine who ask me to come on their records, and same with us, but it's never one of those things where it's like this person featuring this person. And I love doing collaborations or even just, like if somebody asks me, hey, could you just like record this scream over this? Like, sure.
Sure.
I'm in. I'm absolutely in. So, first off, how do you approach collaborations? Because, you guys do you guys like write a song and then have somebody in mind for it? Or is it one of those things where you guys have stuff going and then you just kind of go, all right, well, we can throw somebody on here?
Yeah, kind of both. A lot of our writing process now is I don't want to say all of it's a collaborative effort, but we usually write with different kinds of people. Like on Do Your Worst, we wrote that song with a country singer.
Yeah.
And she was in Nashville and just has always wanted to write a rock song. Megan Patrick, her husband's Mitchell Tenpenny, big country guy. He used to be like a metal guy. And we were like, yeah, of course. And then we wrote a track with Jack from Sleeping with Sirens, and it pretty much just like any opportunity that comes like across, we're gonna take it. Sometimes it is, hey, we have this track, it's demoed. Do you have something that's a cool idea? Or we're doing this cover. Do you guys want to throw? Do you want to throw down on like a bridge? Or sometimes I'll just sing harmonies to something. Like if Skaggs is doing something and he comes over, because CJ, our guitarist, is a producer and he lived with me for over 5 years, and we recorded all of Imposter Syndrome Part 1 and 2 here in the house. And he produced all of it, and then somebody else mixed it and all that. But there's times where we're like, man, like we really, really need something. Like what vocalist sounds good on this part? Like Stay Away, we were writing with our producer Hiram, and we were like, man, like it'd be really cool to get Benny on this track from Avoid. And he just absolutely killed it. And Easter Egg, Loveless and Michael Swank were supposed to be on the other songs. So Quicksand was supposed to have Loveless, Do Your Worst was supposed to have Swank, and they actually did a version of those. And we still have them somewhere, which we might eventually like let people hear at some point. We don't know. We're open to whatever, but we're pretty much open to anything. Like if somebody has a track and they're like, you want to do this? Or if they say, let's just sit down in a room and write something, or like send stuff back and forth. Like we're, we don't really have an ego when there's writing, I guess is the main thing. Like we're open to whatever. The best idea in the room is the best idea. Doesn't have to be mine. Doesn't have to be, like
the song is the God.
The song, how the song comes out is how it comes out. Now,
the song is the God. It doesn't matter about getting your shit in.
Yeah, as long as I like can participate, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's such a small world that you worked with Loveless as well, because I mean, I found them God knows how long, like maybe over a year now, and ended up doing PR for them for a second, and now you just can't escape them. But I think what's been
they're
everywhere. And I think it's been cool to see, like, that's kind of the new generation of like the scene, if you will. And like bringing new life into post-hardcore and these genres that we've all been around for a very long time. And especially Outline and Color being around as long as you all have, you've kind of seen like these new waves coming up. So who do you think's doing a good job of carrying that torch now in addition to Loveless? Because you all seem so open-minded, which is really cool to see.
Man, that's a hard question.
Well, who do you have your eye on?
There's a lot of personal bias that I have. Let me let me pull my Spotify up.
You know what though? The same thing happens to me when someone's like, "What are you listening to right now?" And like, even though there's so much music in my brain, it all goes right out the window as soon as I'm asked the question.
Right.
So bring out the Spotify.
It'll be different for me than it is for everybody else in the band, because I feel like post-hardcore, or like where Loveless is, bridges that gap between like, this is mainstream pop, because he has like, Julian's voice is amazing.
Sick.
And then there's the other bands that are like Rain City Drive, who every single one, we love them, sweethearts. And then like there's so many bands that like can encapsulate that, like this could be popular. But for me, post-hardcore is that like nice bridge between mostly singing and, you know, and I like metalcore. I like, you know, I was in a pop punk band a long time ago. So like that's where my roots are, and like old emo music. I put my thing down. Dang. There's a band on TikTok called 408 that I just found, and they're pretty sick. Set It Off's new song. I like Set It Off a lot. His voice is phenomenal. And now that they're independent and their new song sounds a lot like Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. I don't remember if that's the name of the album. Such a good song. Like they do such a good job of like carrying that on. And I think Loveless is a great example. I think Rivals should be huge. There's so many good bands that it's really, really hard to pick. There's another band called Nerve, NERV, that I found a long time ago. That dude's voice is very good. And they're right along the post-hardcore, like Rain City Drive, Loveless. Like if that's your jam, look at them. But there's so many bands that could like fill that role.
I mean, that was a great list to start with. So lots of new music for everyone listening to be able to check out, which is always fun.
Yep.
Yeah. So another thing that I love about you guys, especially with this new record, because I mean, especially with post-hardcore, right? A lot of it is you scream your verses and then you do a catchy chorus, right? And that's just kind of your and put a breakdown. You need a breakdown in the middle. If you don't have a breakdown, it's not post-hardcore.
The formula.
Exactly. So like you guys completely do away with that. You guys, especially like I said, especially this new record, you guys completely do away with that. So what goes into, and again, I guess a lot of it happens with the song is the guide, and you let that guide you. But how do you guys approach that kind of stuff? First off, and second off, why are your choruses, as what I like to call, what Jimmy and I like to call CAF, catchy as fuck? Because that's what you do.
I appreciate that.
You go into a song and you're like, how do I make this catchy as fuck? And you accomplish such things, dude.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I think the reason why some of our verses and choruses work so well, as far as the catchy part, is Skaggs and I approach things very differently, because he sings a lot on this album.
Yeah.
And does like more yell type singing and obviously screaming. I overcomplicate everything. I want to fit everything into the smallest box, to where I'm just like, hello. Oh, okay. I can breathe. I got to take a breath here. And he's about like he doesn't maybe classify it as this, but like the KISS method, the keep it simple, stupid, where he thinks of something that is simple and interesting and catchy and not too much, where there's a line, a pause, a line. And I feel like it's the yin and yang without like conflicting each other too much, of being able to iron something out. And because neither of us think our idea is the best, we are just like, here's everything, idea 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a mix of 3 and 5, and then we just go from there and make sure the lyrics, mesh well. And I think that's why our choruses work so well. And a lot of the producers we work with, the last couple albums, we haven't gone in with any material.
Oh, wow.
Hardly at all. We write almost everything on the spot, minus, a couple one-offs. But we like to have inspiration like as it happens. And as you're excited about the idea, the more that is going to grow. And if you're excited about the idea as it's happening, somebody else is going to be excited about the idea. And even though you've listened to it like 3,000 times before mixing and mastering and, all the works, you're going to get re-excited about it again when people start talking about it and listen to it. And I think that's why it goes so well with choruses. And I gained some of my confidence with writing choruses and melodies because I feel like I'm a really big melody guy.
Yeah.
With my melodies on our self-titled Broken Record was a song that made me really, really, really feel good about my writing ability because that was right after I rejoined the band because I was the original vocalist. I left and back. Anyway, all 4 of us are OG members, so there's not any huge shuffling, but that's I think where it came from. Is we're really good at writing together, even though we had like a shift on imposter syndrome, and we just don't care about whose idea makes it at all.
Yeah.
As long as I feel like I can connect with it and we're like, okay, well, this vowel sounds good on this high note, or it doesn't sound as open, or it doesn't sound like it punches as hard. We're all about like the little bitty things. And because I am so like, let me go down this like 5-year rabbit hole of thinking of everything of what could be best. Like we try to find all the little things that we can to make it as good as possible. And what I was saying before about how to write, that's kind of how we go into it is sometimes we'll have a material or sometimes we'll sit down with nothing and collaborate with different people. And we have felt better collaborating as of late than we ever have. And I would definitely suggest to other bands and other writers to find a producer that is willing to collaborate with you and tell you if your idea sucks or not. And don't get butthurt about it because we all will. But the more that you have, stone skin about it and don't have an ego about it, the better it's going to come out. Like 100%, I promise.
Quick reminder that this show is brought to you by our brand new sponsor, Mythical Beards. Check them out, mythicalbeards.com. You can get stickers, you can get hoodies, you can get all that kind of stuff, but most importantly, you can get shit for your face.
Keep your beard fresh, keep it clean, keep it groomed. If it's good enough for Mick Foley, God damn it, it's good enough for us.
I'm wearing the Kraken right now.
I am actually wearing the Dracula.
Nice.
And that's why I smell like an old-time barbershop.
If you go to mythicalbeards.com and use the promo code
BACON15,
you get 15% off your entire order. The show is also brought to you by our good friends at GrillYourAssOff.com, where you can also get 15% off of your order of all spices, grilling rubs.
They're delicious freaking sauces.
Yes, delicious sauces, all that kind of stuff. Every season is grilling season if you like to cook.
Yes.
So definitely check it out. GrillYourAssOff.com. Use the promo code
BACON because it'll keep grilling season all year fucking long.
15% off with the promo code. 10% off at drinkwildbills.com, where you can get all kinds of great sodas, which we've seen lots of mixers for. So keep sending them in. Hashtag drinkwildbills. Hashtag what's your bacon. Mm-hmm. Send us your beverage options
of choice.
And also poddex.com. You can see them in another part of the show.
Yes, indeed.
But both of those, 10% off, use the promo code BACON. So
yes.
Check it out. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you got. Use them. Find them. If you can't remember what we just said, go to baconismypodcast.com. Everything's there. Check it out. Thanks for watching.
That process is super important. And in fact, that's Jimmy and I on Thursdays. What we actually do is we have a live stream. We back in 2015 or 2016, we wrote probably about 20 songs. We ended up having him pick 5, our producer. We sat down, and on Twitch, we actually, with him, he'll give us his notes live, and we will come back, and then we'll go, okay, here's his notes on this song. Let's re-record it, and we go and we redo it every single time. And it's a really like strong. It's something that a lot of people have to realize is that you know, as much as you're doing this song for you, and yeah, at the end of the day, you're writing this song for you. If you're trying to do anything with it, you got to get an outside opinion. You got to get somebody else's thoughts on it. And if you can't handle it, well, then you probably shouldn't put it out there.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're writing music for yourself, then write for yourself, and that's it. But
yeah, and like, and not every song. And there was like part of that question that was like, how do you decide like genres and like breaking the mold of those? And we're kind of the band that doesn't really care what genre it falls in. Like, we're still going to be like a version of metalcore or post-hardcore or whatever you want to title it as. But as long as we like the song, we're putting it out. We can write a country album if we want to. Not saying we're going to. We can call it, just call it Outline in Country. It's out now. But sometimes when we get bored at practice, we'll sing in a country twang, and it's really funny. But because we're from Oklahoma, but we don't care what we write. Like, if it comes out and it's like a pop punk song, like the last song we just wrote like a couple months ago sounds pretty like pop punk, post hardcore. It's not out anywhere, just because we're always writing, and it sounds awesome, like really, really good, and it's catchy. But we don't care. We want people to still like us that have followed us for a long time. And there's songs that we've, been writing in the process of where I'm like, I hate this song. Like, this sounds like doo-doo. I don't want to put this out. Like, this doesn't sound like us at all. But once you get our voices on it and change some things and production and all the magic, like Bitter was like that. That was my least favorite song on this album when we were writing it, and now it's one of my favorites, like 100%. I thought it was the most butt rocky, not my cup of tea song that we could have ever had. Same thing with Toss and Match, which has Chris Ritter, like Moss of Flames on it. Like, those two songs when they started were my least favorite, and they're like top 3, top 4 of all the songs on the album now. They turn out awesome.
It's such a segue to something I really wanted to ask you as well, because you're talking about like this blur of genre lines, like how, country is sometimes intertwined with rock, and you've mentioned in interviews loving pop and hip hop, and as a band being inspired by so many genres that are outside of post-hardcore and metal. But there's like this sense of pride that I think up until recently metalheads have had of like, we don't listen to pop, all these other genres, like, it's not cool. You're losing your cred, dude. And so, like, I would love your take on this of like why you think that is, because I think that's something that I actually really enjoy about your music, is I can hear those other influences, and you have no shame in saying something sounds a little more commercial than something else.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, when it comes to that, it almost feels like gatekeeping culture when people are like, you're not allowed to listen to pop. You can't llisten to Ariana Grande or John Mayer or, whatever. And I'm like, just because I think mayo's spicy doesn't mean, like, I'm literally like, I'm fluorescently white. Like, I learned how to play guitar because I was watching John Mayer play guitar. It is what it is.
I love John Mayer. No shame.
It's the same thing about, in my mind, it's like learning a language. When you learn how to play music, or you learn how to speak Spanish or sign language or French or whatever it is, just because it's different than what you automatically do every day, you're not going to go speak Spanish every single day of your life just because you learn Spanish or Japanese or whatever. But it's still good to know, and unlocks part of your brain that you would not have seen before, just like reading books. Like, you're not going to only watch Netflix until you die.
Right. I hope not.
Reading books. I mean, maybe we all will, I don't know. But reading books is also such a great way to expand your brain. And just because you only listen to metal doesn't make you wrong. And just because you don't like pop doesn't make you wrong, but you can still have an appreciation for that style of music. Like, my parents, like my dad, was a session musician, and he wrote tons of like disco songs and all sorts of things that he doesn't get credit for, because long story short, licensing and all that, it was easy to screw people over back in like the 80s. But, you know, just because I don't love classic rock, most of it, or country, does not mean that I can't appreciate like that music and say, this is a good country song. Keith Urban, country pop all the way. He's a great artist. He's a great singer. He's a great writer, or whoever writes for him is a great writer. I don't know. But, you know, just because, you know, you listen to pop does not make you any less of a metalhead. Like there's no reason to not listen to other kinds of music, in my opinion.
Well said.
I mean, dude.
You're shortchanging yourself. It's music.
For sure.
You should love music.
And at the end of the day, if the chorus is catchy as fuck, it doesn't matter, right? Something I will ask is, because you guys do a decent amount of covers. So for me, I mean, I'm in band chats all the time, and it's always, we need to cover this song because somebody heard it on the radio, or it popped up on Spotify, or this or that. It's literally, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it every day or every other day?
Oh man, when does your day end? Does it end at midnight? Does it end at 3 a.m.? Does it?
I don't think it really matters. I don't think it really matters.
I'm guilty of it too.
I do it all
every
the time,
other
too.
day. I don't know. Like there was a time and place for covers, and like if you look at Loveless, for example, because we talked about them, they're not a cover band. They like their biggest song was a cover, but his original music and like their original music as a group is insane. And there is something good to doing covers. Like I Prevail popped off of a Taylor Swift cover, I believe it was. And A Day to Remember. Like there's such a huge market capture when you do a cover that somebody loves, but at the same time, like you don't want to only be known for that cover of that song. Like you look at Our Last Night, and they're a great band. But most people only listen to them for their covers, and they're known for their covers. That doesn't mean their original music is bad, but it gets really hard to like escape that. And that's like part of the fear of doing a cover. But at the same time, like, hey, do you guys want to do a cover for Punk Goes Pop? Like that's the best like time to do.
Well, I feel like you guys kind of you break the mold with that. And again, this goes back to the band cover thing, because I know all the time there's discussions about, okay, well, if we're going to do a cover, we should do something that's top 40. You got to find something that's rising the charts, or something that just hit number 40 now, and hopefully it gets whatever. But you guys, even with this new record, you guys did the Vines.
Yeah, we sure did.
Which, I mean, I saw the Vines once, and when the PA went out, the whole arena cheered.
Oh,
yeah,
that's not what you want.
Yeah, it's not what you want. But that song they opened with it, and everybody went fucking crazy. But anyway, like that's not a new song. But it's also not like a top 40 song. It's also not like a classic song and stuff like that. So what goes into that process of okay, well, how do we pick a cover song? You know, like for instance, I legit over on Strangerhood TV, I did a cover of Ghost by Justin Bieber, right?
Okay.
And I kicked it to my drummer, and I said, "Hey, what do you think about doing this?" And he's like, "Dude, let's do it. This is fucking awesome." And I was like, "Cool. You don't mind it's a cover?" And he's like, "Wait, what? It's a cover?" I was like, "Yeah, it's a Justin Bieber song." And he goes, "Fuck Justin Bieber."
That's what it's about.
What do you mean? It's like, "Fuck Justin Bieber. I don't want to do that." I was like, "Okay, well then I'm going to do it." So what goes into your like choosing process?
Pretty much to take like part of what you said, if you think of a song, like we went through for this album, we recorded I think like 14 tracks, even though only 12 made it, or 11 plus the cover. We put like 4, 5, 6 different cover ideas out there, and The Vines was not my first pick, but it's one of those songs that you listen to, or somebody that's a little bit younger listens to, and they don't know that song, or they listen to it and they're like, "Oh, this is a pretty cool song," and they think it's an original song. And that I think is where good covers are distinguished from bad ones. Like Paper Cuts, when we did that cover, there's so many people that don't even know what that song is. And that was a huge song, especially like in Australia where he's from. You just have to find one that you can make your own. And as long as you can do that, it's going to go well. And sometimes you sit down with a song, you have your audio production pulled up at what you're recording into, and you start trying to write to it and be like, man, I don't really know how to make this mine at all. Like, this just sounds like I'm in a bar playing the song as is, and it's my voice instead of his that sounds more like rock or post-hardcore instead of, I think that's how it comes down to it. It's like, this is the song, we can make ours. And it's so much ours that people either prefer this version and don't like the original version, or don't even know that it's a cover in general. And that's, I think, the key sauce to it.
Yeah, making it your own is super, super important, especially if you don't want to be known as the band that covered this song.
Yeah, it's like a really slippery slope. Like, you can onboard so many people from that, but at the same time, like, we've been at shows where people are holding up like the sign, like, play Paper Cuts, or play. We did an NSYNC cover at one time. Not that I ever, want to do that ever in my life, because it was the other vocalist before me. We did an Evanescence "Bring Me to Life" cover. We'll never put out. No one will ever hear it. And a bunch of other ones. It does. Disappointing. It wasn't good enough. You know what I mean? Like it still was a good song. Like, we played it well, we sang it well. I just don't think it was good enough to stand on its own, which is why it won't come out. You know what I mean?
What I will say is this. Okay, there's a video out there of Jim and I doing that very song, karaoke. Mm-hmm. I think we need to have a karaoke off at some point where we both perform it. We obviously do the coin flip to see who goes first, right? But we should do that. I think that'd be fun. Or we swap partners.
Okay. Or if it's an off day and we're in your city, we could find a karaoke emo night and just go. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Okay.
But like, there's people that go to a karaoke and they're like, this is my song. I'm going to sing this song every karaoke they go to. And there's a few people I know that's the song.
Really? That's an ambitious choice.
It is. It's usually two people that don't really want to go sing, but they are because the other person's going, if that makes sense. Like, if you do it, I'll do it. And then they like talk each other into it, have a couple drinks. And they're like, okay, yeah, I'll go. It's fine. We'll go.
So what's your go-to karaoke song then?
It used to be, until I heard too many songs, I heard it too many times. I Write Sins, Not Tragedies by Panic. It's a great choice. Fall Out Boy, either Sugar We're Going Down or Dear Maria, All Time Low is a good one.
Those are crowd pleasers.
Can you tell where, like, the genre I grew up in?
Not a clue. Cannot pinpoint the era.
No. Yeah, I'm dating myself. Usually one of those, for sure.
I like that. Yeah. I my problem is that, like, when I go to a karaoke bar, I always try to find things that are just not gonna be at a karaoke bar, right?
Like and what are you looking for?
Oh, you look like, I like Deftones or Deftones. It's not Digital Bath, because fuck that. I'm not singing Digital Bath. Fuck that, right? Like, Chino's just god tier kind of vocalist on that. But, like, I like to go look for Deftones, or Not in the End by Linkin Park. Right?
It's a great song.
It is a great song.
What I gotta recommend, you know how, I'm gonna bring this full circle real quick. We were talking about in our teaser episode about scaring the crowd or scaring the bar with something on the speakers. I did karaoke, and it was Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit one night.
Yes.
That really changed the mood in the room.
Yeah.
Oh.
It can go one way or the other.
Oh yeah, very divisive.
something I will
respect
say.
that.
Something I will say, and I've fallen victim to it myself, is,
Right.
and I think I need to clear this up right now, right?
Let's
So
go.
so we were talking with another guest and about, like, because they came up around the time that Limp Bizkit came up and stuff, and I was kind of like, why do you think Limp Bizkit gets such a bad rap and whatever? And you know what? A little bit I was kind of like, you know what? Limp Bizkit's lame. But if you but I'm coming clean. I'm coming clean here.
Okay.
They got some bangers. Come on. Like that's what that was my jam in high school. Like we should, you got to respect. Limp
The
Bizkit.
song they put out in 2021, 2022.
Oh, what was that?
It was good.
Good.
It was good.
Style?
I think that was probably it. Skaggs made me listen to it the other day. I don't know why, but I was like, "That's pretty. That's pretty good."
I liked when Wes came back. Gold Cobra. That song was pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
That was good.
And this just comes back to, we don't have to love all the genres, but we can respect them for what they are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
100%.
I got to tell you, above us, I have plenty of Limp Bizkit CDs in an old crate, some sort of like a Rubbermaid bucket. I've got some Limp Bizkit CDs.
You can sell those for a lot now, you know.
Really?
Probably.
Maybe. I don't know.
There's like a CD market and like a vinyl market that I was not aware of. Like there's people that come up to me at shows when I do merch a lot, and they're like, "Dude, Struggle is like $80 on this website. Do you have any more?" I'm like, yeah, just buy it from me for like $15. Like you don't have to pay $80. But there's like some website
market.
Yeah. Yep. Like whenever Rain City Drive was Slaves, their last Slaves album they put out with Matt, they were nice enough to give me one, and I'm just gonna keep it. I'm not selling it, but it was like $200 the CD on that site because there were so little of them. They didn't print that many. They were changing their name. It was the last thing that they would ever put out. They were like at first it was 150, 180, 200. Like it was a pretty good amount of money. I wish I could remember the name of the website, but there's a secondary market for sure. For vinyls.
Well, you need to text me at that website because I have so many CDs that I need to make money on. I gotta.
You're sitting right next to me, and I'm thinking the same thing right now. I'm like, oh crap, we're sitting on gold mines, folks.
Yeah, like and so many people are. It's just like Pokemon cards or whatever. Like you don't know that you're sitting on gold mines until someone wants a holographic first edition Charizard that's like PSA 10 rated or whatever it is that the terms that they use for it. And I used to have one, and somebody stole it, like a whole book of them. But if I find that website, I'll let y'all know. But like test presses of vinyls that no one ever can own. Like I have a test press of Imposter Syndrome Part 2 that there's 2 of ever, and there's like band members that have that stuff, and just like really, really rare things that you would be amazed the amount of money that people are willing to pay for. Not advocating, screwing people over, but it's crazy like what people want to buy, like Japanese versions of their albums or whatever. Actually,
we were just talking about this in an episode a couple weeks back. I have a Breaking Benjamin radio promo for You Are Not Alone, or We Are Not Alone, because I was a huge Breaking Benjamin fan at the time, and I went to a local place and I had just seen the So Cold video, and I was like, dude, I need to get that album. But like it was pre-internet, and we couldn't just Google things and go, when does this come out? And I went to this like place, and I was like, do you have We Are Not Alone? And they were like, dude, that doesn't come out for another like 3 months. I said, what? Okay. And then the guy said, well, I have the radio screener. And I was like, well, fucking yeah, give it to me. And yeah, so I have that. I think that'd probably be worth something, right?
Yeah, I mean, like Breaking Benjamin was a huge band. I mean, especially for me. I was playing Halo and they came out with a song for the Halo soundtrack.
Blow Me Away.
Blow Me Away. Great song. I was like, oh yeah, like this is good. And I feel like that's like one of the things that helps like break bands as well, is like they get that one placement of like a video game or like a movie or a cover or whatever. It's like, dang, whew. I wonder how many bands have done that. But like, I don't remember what time that was of like the year, but like, it's crazy to me that people don't know what burning CDs is at all. Or LimeWire or FrostWire, and you know the third time your dad has fixed your computer, and then you put another virus on it because you LimeWired something, or it's like the lowest quality of that song, or it's like you got rickrolled, but it's titled, you know, My Chemical Romance, I'm Not Okay, or whatever it is. Like, people don't know what burning CDs is, and I'm like, oh my God.
My first computer that I had in my family, we had a 4 gig hard drive. And this was like
big.
The most stuff ever. I killed it because of Napster. I destroyed it because of Napster. Just like, you know, because like I loved imports, but back in the day they were known as bootlegs, but it was like imported things. So I like, and the Chili Peppers had just come back with John Frusciante, and I'm like, every Chili Peppers bootleg ever. And I had it all on that computer, and I just fried it. Ugh. Completely fried it.
It's a rite of passage, honestly.
It is. And it's a shame that teenagers don't have that.
I feel like it just made me appreciate music more because it was like a whole adventure to get it. So once I had it, I was like, well, let's treasure this track. Or if you were searching for a CD in a record store and you finally find it, it's like, now you could just search anything and get it in 2 seconds. You don't appreciate it the same way because you didn't work for it. You know what I mean?
Yep. And now it's more of like the physical, like I have this item, and because bands don't print mini CDs or vinyls anymore, and you go see their show, you're like, oh, this band's dope. Let me buy this, and then they never press it again. And now you have a collectible, which is still cool, but like, man, there's not really anything that like compares today to like kids that are in like teenagers, or you know, even like early 20-year-olds, like they don't know what that is.
You know, this like is a bit of a question for you, like being in a modern band in this day and era, like do you think of the way you put together an album differently now because the way people consume albums is different? Because it used to be you listen to an album from start to finish and the track list matters, but now it's like you could just kind of pick a song and listen to what you want, you know?
We still definitely pay attention to like the flow of the songs, and I'll sit there until like 7 a.m, like 3 days in a row, like, okay, let me give you one more listen, like one more run through, like I got to figure out like this song is a good opener, and then this one, and then like this song is a really, really good closer. Like we still think about that as far as like the flow, but the way that we write songs for that, I don't think is much different. But I think COVID, that period of time changed a lot of people's opinions, where EPs were a lot more prominent. So instead of we have a full album, let's sit on it and not put it out until COVID's over, which could be tomorrow, 2 years, 10 years, we don't know. We were of the mindset, which it changed for us at that time, of let's just do 2 EPs. Like, why not? Let's just keep putting out content. Like, we don't want to just not do anything. And we were independent at that time because we just signed a Thriller not super long ago, but we just wanted to keep pumping content out. So that at that time, I think it changed for us. And a lot more bands were starting to do EPs just to have content more often, because like the album cycle to the music industry is a thing, which you know, where it's like 1.5 years, 2 years, 2.5 if it does really well, and you want to keep touring on it, and then you have to get ready for your next release, which a lot of people that aren't in music don't know. It takes a long time and a lot of hands interchange to write an album, do production, give them mix notes, give them editing notes, videos, mastering, all of that.
It's like by the time you've released one album, you're already recording, writing, whatever you're doing for the next one. Like there's no time.
Exactly. Like you just have to stay busy, and I think that's a good thing. That our kind of opinion has shifted on it, because when we talk to our label, they talk to us about like, do you want full lengths? Do you want EPs? And we're like, I don't know. What do you think? We just want to keep putting out content. And they're like, okay. We like that. That's great. We can't put out 3 albums a year, guys. Which that wasn't really, probably really sad, but like, you come out with a strategy, and I think EPs are a good thing as long as it's not like 3 or 4 song EPs, which still can be okay. But like, you have a taste test of the album before it comes out, right? Where there's like 3 singles, 4 singles, whatever. And then your album full length could be 10 songs, 13, 15, who knows? But with an EP, you can't really do that. They're like, okay, the EP's out, and 4 of the songs are singles, and you only get 1 more song when it launches. That's new content. So unless you just like really pop them out fast, like, I don't know. I feel like the full album cycle is still better, but at the same time, like, tease a couple EP songs, put it out, put another EP out, because then you have more new material that people who book for booking agents want you to like have something new to go tour on, or to be on a package or whatever. Yeah. So I think that's good. But for us, that thought changed a little bit around like when COVID happened, for sure. Not to ramble too far.
No. I think it's funny because like a lot of bands, I mean, dude, I do it myself. I'm not on a record label or anything like that, but it seems like the heavy focus nowadays is singles, right? So I'll release a single every other month, right? And which is a lot of content, when you add up the video and the guitar playthrough and the bass and the drum playthrough and the sing through and all that stuff. So like it's a lot. It's but and Jimmy too. Jimmy does the same thing where he does singles rather than records. But I do think there's still a lot of, man, there's so much in a record, in listening to it from front to back, that I think is missing nowadays, where
like an experience of an album.
Right, exactly. And I know like, bands like Tool was always like, well, we don't want to put our album on Spotify because we don't want people to, a Tool record is an experience and this and that. And it's like, well, you know what, you put like 13-minute instrumentals on there, so like
every Periphery song,
chill.
like,
let's chill.
They're a band who does like, this is an experience. And I listened to part 4, part 5, and I'm like, oh, this is like 75 minutes. Each song is 9 to 13 minutes, but it changes so much. Or like Coheed and Cambria, they did like an experience, like many of them, and their new album was great. Not what I thought it would be, but it was great. But like that, I feel like that you're right, it is kind of missing a little bit from some bands. And Bad Omens does a really good job on their newest album of giving you like an experience. Like that track listing was great. Dayseeker's track listing was great in the order. I think you're right.
Well, like Dayseeker does a lot of it's more concept. Dayseeker always goes in concept record,
which I love a good concept record.
Yeah,
I'm such a nerd for figuring out a storyline.
Yeah,
I do too.
Is so good.
Dude, it's not fair. Like, bro, there's like every singer always has a vocalist where it's just like, dude, if I could just sing like that. Like Rory is probably one of those people for me that I'm just like, dude, like, he has such a good voice. I wish I had that voice. But at the same time, like, there's probably people that he wishes that he could sing like, and it's usually what you don't sound like, right? And I've always had kind of like a brighter tone, and I've tried to like beef it up as years went on and change things or whatever. But like, man, his voice is so good. Like, I feel like he could sing a dictionary, and I don't want to just nerd out about like Rory, but like, there's so many like ways that he can put like emphasis and all the little things without having to really seem like he's even trying. And it's like, dude, you're in like Andy Sizek. I think that's how you say his last name. He's in like 800 bands. And it's like, dude, you're an alien. I tell him on Twitter all the time, like, stop being so good. Let somebody else impress people with their voice. Like, stop. You're too good, man. Like quit. When he joined Monuments and I heard him scream really low, I'm like, what planet are you from? Who are you?
You know what, though? To put it into perspective, though, I bet there's people who are maybe just learning how to sing or scream or listening to your music and think the same thing of you. You know, like it's all full circle, isn't it?
Dude, it is, and that actually happened.
Really?
We went on tour with Dead American, and that's Cove's band from Seosin, if anybody out there doesn't know. And it was so weird because like I listened from like Anthony Green to Cove to who knows. And, you know, I don't really get starstruck by a lot of people anymore just because of, you know, who you meet in the industry and like everyone's people. But when it came down to it, there was a guy that like didn't talk to me much the whole tour with one of the other bands. And he was like, dude, like, I didn't want to say anything to you, but like, I look up to you a lot. I started, you know, learning how to sing because I listened to Outline, like from the EP days. I was sad when you left. I liked the other singer. I was so stoked when you came back. And I was like, I don't deserve that. Like, no, you can't tell me that. And it was just cool to feel like I inspired somebody to like be creative and find their voice because they listen to something that I made. And it's really validating because I don't make music for other bands. I make music because I like making music, I like how it sounds. I want people to like it and relate to it. And I was like, man, I haven't said anything to Cove, but like, he's Cove. Like, everyone listened to Seosin. Like I grew up when I learned how to start singing. It went from all the like My Chemical Romance to Fall Out Boy to Seosin to the Used to All Time Low and Mayday Parade and all those other bands like Panic at the Disco. And like Cove is that for me. So like it's so like it's weird to hear that, but thank you. I don't deserve that, but thank you. Because like he's the reason I learned how to sing and they opened for us.
Wow.
And you know, great. He's a great singer, and it was a good tour. And I was like, man. So the full circle thing you're talking about is like that was my moment that it happened for me. That probably I won't get the experience of ever again. Like the first time you see a movie.
Say that. You didn't think it would happen the first time. Who's to say it could happen again?
Well, it's kind of like when you watch a movie or like you play a game that you're like, oh my God, that was the best. Like, I wish I could go back, erase my memory and experience the first time of like watching that movie again. Like, that's kind of how it felt for me. And I'm not a guy to have an ego at all. And it felt really good. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm just a dude. Like, let me hyperventilate and come back. like why? But it was so cool to see because like that's what it's about. Like I want people to find a creative outlet, and if I inspired somebody to do that of anything that I've ever done, like that's so fucking sick. Like that's what it's about.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
You were saying something earlier about we're going to come back to it, something about having a kid or something like that. If you wanted it for content, I didn't want you to miss it and forget about it.
No.
Speaking of
kids in band, like band kids are fun.
Yeah.
You will have a lot of fun.
She's only 2. She turned 2 in February, but she's such a personality. Oh man. And it's really fun because I get to relive some things that I never thought like I would, like feeling like a kid. Because I'm like, oh yeah, like you got to watch this movie, you got to watch this show. Like Gullah Gullah Island came on, and I was like, yeah, you get to watch Gullah Gullah Island. Because we just got a Discovery Plus or whatever it's called subscription, where that's on there. Like you remember that, like Zaboomafoo.
Yes.
And the early Blues Clues, like, oh man, there's so many good ones, and man, it's pretty cool. Especially because
just wait as she gets older, then you get to the really cool stuff.
I'm trying to figure out when is a good time for her to go to a show, because she's getting a lot better about going out, but at the same time, like we have little earplugs for her, and her mom got headphones. Me and her mom got some for her. Because you got to have those, but like at the same time, like can she stay for that long? There's like an attention span type thing.
It's tough when you're a headliner. What the best thing to do is like a festival. So my son came to see us for the first time, like not this band that I'm in, a past band. He came to see us for the first time. I think he was standing, so he had to be like 7 or 8 months old, or maybe a little bit older than that.
That's pretty early.
Yeah, as long as you got those cans, you're in good shape.
Yep. So he was couch surfing pretty well at 7 to 8 months.
Oh yeah, dude.
Just doing the
shimmy,
the edge of the pool.
Yeah.
Like I can't. It's really deep, but I can hang on the edge of the pool and hop all around it. Like I know what you're talking about.
we just brought the kids to their first show a few months ago. It was when Amity Affliction and Silverstein were touring together. They were doing a co-headliner, and Josh was like, "Yeah, we're doing the early one in your area," and I was like, "Sweet." So you go on at 8. Kids are up. My kids are big Silverstein nerds, so like we'll talk about that later if you want. But
you're doing good, Dad.
But
good.
Yeah, he loved it. So, but I will say, Holding Absence was my kids' first like legit show, like the first set they got to see, and like we went to their merch. We went to their merch booth afterwards, and they couldn't have been more cool to my son. Oh man, they were just so fucking good. So good.
Dude, it's so cool to see bands do that too. Like there's been a lot of kids that have come up and their parents will be like, yeah, this is my kid's first show. And they could be like 5 or like 12 or like 15. But like there was one tour where for some reason we decided to have a local artist make us outline and coloring books. And we printed like 50 of them. I'm not even kidding. Like
that's amazing.
We made a coloring book. We might still have a couple. So where it was like different pictures of us and like some customs. One was put on a shirt. And man, if we saw a kid, we just like gave them so much free shit. We were like, yeah, good for you, Dad. Like out or mom or both are awesome. And it's so like we all get so excited to see kids come out and like love that kind of music. And not every kid's going to, but like
no.
It's a cool experience, especially when you see bands like really, really like do you want a picture? Like, do you want to like play Fortnite with me, or like what's your gamer tag, or like just really like try to like make that kid have a good experience. Like it's such, now that I'm a dad, like, whoo, it's good. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah, dude, it's really cool. It's really cool. Like, and I've been fortunate enough to like do these kind of things where I'm able to like connect with other musicians and stuff like that, like to the point of like, so like I said with Silverstein, they're big Silverstein nerds because we've played their music tons and tons and tons, right? So I've got this studio, and Jen one night, my wife, was just like, yeah, we'll let the kids play and do instruments and do things, whatever. And they love Burn It Down with Caleb. At the time, Silverstein, they'd released Beautiful Place to Drown, and they couldn't do anything because it was COVID and stuff. So the kids sang the Caleb part. That stream that they did, they were like breaking down each of the songs, and Josh texts me. He's like, hey, would you be opposed to having your kids on a Twitch stream, like this video of your kids doing it? And I was like, cool. No, not at all. He's like, cool, man, because Caleb's going to be on the stream and watch it. And we had my kids watch the stream as Caleb watched them do his part. And my daughter's like a little shy, so she was kind of like, I don't want to watch myself. Which she like, that's totally me, because I don't know about you, Jonathan, but like when you put something out, I don't want to fucking hear it again. Like, yeah, like I've heard the mixes, I'm fine. Like I'm done. My son, he's just like, I want to see Caleb's reaction again. I'm like, all right, dude, well, let's chill. whatever.
I mean,
but
yeah, I'm the same way to that in a certain extent. But then there's some other things that maybe aren't music related. Like I disc golf a lot, and there's a video that came out. I won like a putting championship, and I just watched that not too long ago, and it was pretty cool. But like normally I don't like seeing myself on camera again. So if it's like music maybe, but like camera, I don't want to ever see that. No thank you.
So you've done both like the front man thing, right? Where you're untethered, but then you also have you're stuck with a bass. Let's face it. You're stuck with it, right?
Man, I sure am stuck with that bass guitar.
I've been there. I've been there. But what do you prefer? Do you prefer to like be untethered live, like to just kind of like go out and do your fucking thing, or
there's a certain there's a difference in like how it feels and like the satisfaction of each of them. So I told you before I used to play in a pop punk band where I would play guitar and sing. And it was me and another guy who also played guitar and sang, and we shared vocals kind of like we do now. And I got used to doing that, and my stage presence was ass, like horrible. Did not know what I was doing, and that was the same when I started singing. But when I came back to the band, I just started like really coming out of my shell, getting that stage presence with the microphone down. Like I was like making like the faces and like stomping and like fucking throwing down, like really getting it. And then we had the lineup change, and I had to basically learn all the bass parts like a week before our tour started. I was like, yeah, give me 3 days. I'll figure it out. I used to play guitar. It's fine. So I did that, and it took me probably halfway through the tour to get used to that. But there's like a certain kind of like satisfaction to feel that bass like in your soul, because it really gives you like a good like bass, like where the chord is, where like what key it's in, to where they're both fun in their own right. It was a temporary thing. 3 years later, I'm still doing it. I like it. I didn't think I was going to like it at all. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll just do this until we, need something. I don't know. And even our label owner was like, I mean, if you wanted a bass player, John could come back out, or if you like doing that, like, I don't know. But we just kept it. And, I kind of like missed having an instrument for like to an extent, because there's different like moves or like different things that like each song has like a groove, that you kind of like get into, and there's like, oh yeah, this part's coming up. I can really like ooh, but it feels more like satisfying in a certain way to have a bass and like throw like this weight around versus only having a microphone and you're just like, what do I do? Which you figure out too, but like they're both equally fun to me.
Yeah,
in different retrospects.
I always love that what do I do with my hands conversation, because we've talked to a few people that are like, I was a guitar player first and then I eventually became this, and out of necessity, like I talk to more people that become a vocalist out of necessity than people who are like, I was a vocalist first, but then like I also play these things. So yeah, it's always about that, like, what do I do with my hands? And then it's like, man, I could do other things, but
and then you're in the moment and you're like, what do I do? And then afterwards you think of all the stuff that you could be doing or whatever. And I don't know, it's definitely, it's fun for sure.
Yeah.
It's a different experience.
I'm a part of a 2-piece band. So I have my drummer, and then I do the other stuff, and then when we play live, I try to get other people to play, but for the past 2 years it's been either a bass player or a guitar player who's done it, and I've been tethered behind the thing, and it's like, man, I just want to climb on shit and do stuff.
Yeah,
I just wasn't sure if like that's your thing, like I could tell like Skaggs was like a vocalist out of necessity in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah. That one tour was kind of the breaking point of like, all right, well, emergency. We got to either figure out if we're going to be able to tour or if we're just going to not be a band. And that was not an option when we thought about it to any of us. So he just took over, because he actually originally tried out for the band as the singer or the vocalist. and has done the most of anybody in the band. He's done keyboard to bass to vocals now, and he did backup screams like with our other vocalists.
Yeah.
So he was already doing it and had gotten immensely better. And he's he's so good at singing now. Not to say he wasn't before, but like if anybody ever in the world was the like exemplary, like in the dictionary of like this dude busts ass every day, it's him. Like he's come so far in anything that he wants to do. It's nuts. But it was a necessity thing, but also at the same time, like he deserves that spot. Like he's done the most for the band, in the band, etc. of anybody. And I'm more of like a laid back guy. Like being that like front man to me was kind of foreign because like I haven't been that like, like let me get up, in the front for a while. There's that meme that there's like, this is the metalcore vocalist on stage. This is them at merch. It's very much me. I'm like, I'm not like super outgoing, but at the same time, like, I'm like, hi, thanks for coming to my show. I appreciate you.
That almost gave me like Mickey Mouse energy, the way you just said that, which I guess gets the point across.
That's pretty much how that meme feels to me. Just like on stage, I'm like making half the time, like I'm making like faces and throwing down, and then I'm like one of the only people in a band that I know that like you'll catch me smiling on stage like a big cheese, like I'm happy because I am happy while doing it. Like that's the point. And I've had people come up to me after the stage and be like, dude, your energy, like you smile when you're doing it and you're like in it and you're feeling it. And like, that's what we want. Mm-hmm. That's the feeling like that 45 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever is like where I have like very much like, like there's the endorphins, there's all of the good things. So,
yeah. I mean, I feel like that, what you just said also just relates to the whole scene in general, right? Like the fact that you can seem so ferocious and high energy on stage and then be so kind and chill at the merch table. Like any outsiders in the post-hardcore world might think it's so daunting or even dangerous in the mosh pits or anything like that. And then you realize like at the core of it, what's really going on is like community and friendship and support. And it's like, just got to look a little closer, I guess.
It's hilarious because people think that like metal and metal musicians are like these horrible people and like oh, they must be really rude or like like right. All the corporations I've worked for and all that, they're like, you're in a band? Oh, that's pretty cool. You don't really look like a singer. I'm like, okay, cool. Here's a video, and they're like, oh wow,
that's you.
That's you. I wouldn't imagine you doing that. I'm like, that's what I like to do. Yeah. And it's cool though, because like you tell those people, like actually people who like metal are like the nicest people you'll ever meet. You see this dude that's like tatted, neck tat, face tat, and he has like this puppy and he's like, oh little baby, you're so come here. And he's like the sweetest person and you'll ever meet. It's so backwards, but it's
because
true.
it's community. Like everybody's like community. Everybody loves the community feel of it.
Exactly. And when you're in it, but to the outside people, they just haven't found out yet.
Yeah.
So speaking of finding things out, one of the things that you're going to find out, Jonathan, is that we are sponsored by a wonderful company called Poddex, one of the fine sponsors of this show. And what Poddex is they do decks of cards for people who are not as proficient at asking questions as Tori is. I'm not gonna throw my name in there because I'm
gonna throw your name in there. As proficient as Mike is.
Okay, thanks, Tori. So what they do is they put out these decks of cards. They put different top categories, and then they make these decks of cards. Within each deck is 50 cards, which each one has a question. And what we like to have our guests do is pick from the deck and then pick a random question. So the decks, I'm going to read them off. Don't worry.
Okay.
You keep talking about how you date yourself. Well, guess what? I know how old you are. You can't see. I'm just kidding. So
Okay.
we've
Joke's on
got
you. I couldn't see since I was 3. I have contacts in right now.
So we've got the episode deck. We've got the interview deck 2. We've got Would You Rather, What the Heck, What the Fuck, and How Dare You?
Oh man, I could pick one.
Pick one of these decks.
What were the first 2?
That would be episode deck and interview deck.
I kind of it's either what the fuck or how dare you, because I feel like those are more interesting.
Well, Tori, I think you should whittle it down. Which one?
I mean,
Both very fun.
No pressure.
let's go with what the fuck.
Okay, we'll go with what the fuck.
Fun.
Now,
right.
what I will say is this. What the fuck could be anything from, we met an hour and 40 minutes ago. Why are you asking me this? To the most benign question you've ever heard.
Okay.
So I'm
I
just
be
throwing
scared?
that out
Sorry,
there.
Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm just throwing that out
All
there.
right.
But while I do this, I'm going to really quick mention that if you go to poddex.com, you can go fill your cart with any of these decks. Shit, go buy the app. You can get an app on the phone. They've got even more decks. They have more decks on the website. They've got awesome t-shirts, the soft style shirts that we have at baconismypodcast.com, and that I hope that Outline in Color has, that they're not chafing on the nipples, because if they're not Drax approved, they're no good. Are they soft style? Or are they the
tour in the summer is happening, so that's a good nipple chafing is a good thing to worry about. I think they're all soft.
Okay. Well, I may or may not make it, and if I do, I'll rate your shirts.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay.
I'll do. But if you go to poddex.com, use the promo code BACON, because everything is better with bacon. You'll get 10% off your order. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fan these out. And where we would usually have Jimmy run his finger across and then pick that random question, what we're going to do is Tori is going to decide your fate here today.
Okay.
So whatever question I land on, it's Tori's fault.
So do I say stop when?
So
when
you
it's time?
you say stop when I start now.
Yeah.
She
Stop.
never says it.
I just really wanted to build the tension as long as I could before I got too nervous, is what happened.
All right.
Okay, so this could be benign. This could be you just met me. Do you have a birthmark? If so, where?
One of them went away. I used to have one on my arm that is just a freckle now. It looked like an arrowhead that was broken on one side. And I have a dot on my big toe. And I think I used to have one on my butt. I don't see back there a lot, so I don't know. But yeah.
Don't try and look for it because you'll get dizzy.
Ah.
I can't talk about mine.
Oh. Well.
Yeah, it's there.
I respect
It's just
that.
there. Yeah. You need a Manscaped product to see it. Manscaped.com. Promo code BaconPod. Just throwing that out there. Whoop whoop.
Yep.
So
See what you
I
did
do
there.
Gotta throw that out there. What I do have to say is coffee is one of my big things here at the house. I need to have like a good... I'm a black coffee guy because... And just like for me, wings, right? If you dip the wings in like ranch or blue cheese or something, it ruins the integrity of the wing. It ruins the integrity of the sauce. So I'm a black coffee guy. So what is your go-to coffee in terms of coffee brand?
Chameleon cold brew is very strong. I have a Costco membership again because I'm 89 years old. And not really. They have like this 128 like big container basically that has it. So I'll do that, and I'll do enough like almond or oat milk and just a tiny bit of flavoring to like change the color. It won't be like super, sugary like Dunkin' Donuts coffee, but I do like it to have a little bit of like vanilla. But I still want to taste the coffee. I used to only do black coffee, and sometimes I still will, but usually cold brew is what I go for just because the acidity is lower. And
you have a 2-year-old, so cold brew seems like the level you need.
Yeah. I've had moments in my life where I've had too much coffee and I've caught myself in it, and I'm like, oh no.
Tomorrow's gonna suck.
Tomorrow's really gonna suck. Or, the first
Unless
3 months of her life. See, and then you get into like this loop that's not good. So you have to like go on a coffee vacation, and then like you're not fun to be around for like 5 days. And I've been there too. But yeah, the first 3 months of her life where I slept no more than an hour at a time or 2 hours at a time, I had some strong coffee. I really did.
Tori and I were legit talking about this before you just came on. Is after the first 3 months, it's way easier.
I wouldn't know, but I trust Mike's word.
The second you're able to sleep to get a REM cycle, 90 minutes or more, it went from like not more than 2 hours of sleep at a time. One day we had a magical 3 hours, and then it was, I think, right at 3 or 3.5 months, I got like 6 hours, and I had never slept so well in my life. Like,
it was the best thing ever.
Oh yeah. Like you're so much more patient. Things don't piss you off like as bad. Like it's a lot. It gets a lot easier. Plus, like, they're more of a person. You can see them like looking at you, and their sight's developed enough to see you, and all sorts of things, and things just start getting better and more activities, and yeah.
Tori, you're a coffee person as well, right?
I am. Yeah.
Are you a I got to make it at home, or are you a more of a I'll go get it somewhere?
I'm really thrifty, so I like to make coffee at home, but only like in the morning, because it's like I'm not going out for coffee when I first wake up. But I do love a good treat. Like Orlando, I actually saw an article. It's ranked as one of the best coffee cities in the U.S., surprisingly.
Really?
Not in the tourist Disney area where you were, Mike, but like if you go in the downtown area, we got some good spots. So I do like to treat myself here and there when I can.
Yeah, like Jonathan, I was just in Disney last week. I got home yesterday. I took a train home from Orlando to New York.
Oh,
it was long.
Okay,
it was long, and there was no good coffee. There was no good coffee the whole time. Except, you know what? There was one day. That's because
you didn't ask me where to go.
I know, but I didn't have a car, and I didn't have a.
Yeah.
But Ubering just to get a coffee, it's like, oh, I got to Uber there, buy it, Uber back.
Right.
No.
Right.
And then
but
you
I
get
will
yourself
say,
like a $20 cup of coffee at that point.
If you do get to the Polynesian, they do have a Kona blend where they take it and they do like the press coffee there in front of you. It's a coffee for two. That's some good stuff. But it takes like 6 to 10 minutes to make. So you need that 6 to 10 minutes because coffee is an art. Let's all be honest here. Coffee is an art. Don't be an asshole.
Those who know.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm all about brewing at home. Like I've been lucky. My wife Jen is an incredible barista, I guess you would say.
Barista, huh?
Or if you want to call it a coffee chemist, because for the past, 12 years that we've lived together, she's always gone and like we will buy coffee, and if a coffee's not good enough like on its own, she'll go, oh well, maybe I should add this, and she'll like go and she'll like find like Cafe Bustelo, where it's a strong coffee where something else is like not strong enough, and she's like, okay, well I'll take this and I'll put a couple of things of this and I'll make it better. And dude, she fucking does it.
Wow.
Yep. It's a talent.
It's a talent. Coffee is what make the world go round.
Realistically, if the coffee is not good enough on its own, then that means you just don't have good coffee. But you can't always have the perfect cup of coffee.
No.
That's true.
No, you do have to make concessions. Like, especially if you drink black coffee, you have to make concessions, right? Like, you could doctor your coffee up to no end, right? But
yeah.
if you're going just like straight black coffee, sometimes you just gotta sit it out.
Mm-hmm. Black coffee is the way to go. Yeah.
If you have the bad cups of coffee, it makes you appreciate the good cups.
Yes. I had to only do black coffee for a while to really, really decide if it was the coffee that I needed or I just really like a tasty beverage that I inhale in one drink. So sometimes I'll switch to black coffee and just make sure that I'm like only drinking it that's like, oh, that's bitter, just because I want coffee instead of, I'm 3 coffees in now because that was tasty.
It's so funny because as you're you're a new dad, you never actually have hot coffee when you're a new dad. Like the first 3 months. You let it sit there and then you got to go back and it's got to be really good coffee for you to go back and not go back and take a sip and you're like, this is awful.
Especially whenever I have ADHD, I make the coffee, I brew it, I pour the cup. Oh my God, it's hot. Let me just, I don't know. I'll wait a second. And then it's
want it to burn my face off.
Super cold because I forgot about it. That's one of the reasons I switched to cold coffee and I just put it in the fridge. I'm like, okay. You'll forget about it immediately, and then then your nightstand or wherever you are is full of like 5 cups of like half one drink whatever coffee, and you're like, okay, well, I'm the kid from Signs. You remember that movie? I've been told that before, and I'm like, oh, don't reveal my toxic traits, please. I'm a good person, I promise. But yeah, that's why I switched to cold coffee.
Love it. All right, Jonathan, we've taken up a lot of your time, and we do appreciate it. Before we sign off here, please let everybody know where they can find everything Outline in Color, including your new tour coming up, which I'm excited to say that I may or may not be able to go to.
Well, I may or may not be excited to see you there or not. Anyway, I don't know. I am in a band called Outline in Color, which we are going on tour with Varsity and Discrepancies, and some of the dates have a few other locals on it as well. From April 28th until May 13th, and you can find us on pretty much anything /Outline in Color. TikTok is TikTok in Color, Spotify, Apple Music, Napster, Deezer. If LimeWire still exists, I don't know. Call back. You can find us pretty much. You can find us everywhere. YouTube /Outline in Color, and on the Thriller Records YouTube page as well.
Absolutely. Please make sure you check out their brand new record, Coast is Clear. Check out the new single or the latest single. It's not really new anymore. They got a cease and desist because of
Benny's Beans.
Shit. Benny's Beans, because they did a little collaboration with Avoid, which I don't know, Jonathan, have you heard? Avoid kicks ass.
Yes, they do. And they
I don't know if you've heard that or not. It's a hot rumor.
If there ever was a band that you should go see live besides mine, because I need to shill my band more because I'm proud of my band. Anyway, go see us. Anyway, go see Avoid. They're insane. They one of their instrumentalists, a bassist or guitarist, took a break to eat Taco Bell in the middle of a song and then started playing again. They played Fortnite on a projector in the middle of their song as they were performing. You never know what they're gonna do, and they're like everyone's favorite band to tour with right now. And we got to hang out with Benny, and that's the entire reason that Benny has Beans now, and the video revolved around Beans was because of Benny. So
yeah. And there's a cease and desist. Go check out the Outline Color social medias to follow that whole fun little ordeal that happened with them, freaking FDA and issues and all that stuff. But yeah, absolutely check out Outline and Color. Jonathan, I want to ask you again, because we said at the beginning of the teaser episode, we like to know what is that part of your day that's makes it a little bit more gooder, more tastier, makes it a little bit more worthwhile. Is it still coffee?
Coffee is definitely one of them. Coffee, breakfast, doesn't matter what time of the day it is. 100%. Breakfast is the best meal of the day.
I like breakfast foods.
Really, really enjoy getting a hug from my daughter when she wakes up. And then when she skates right on past me after I have my arms stretched out, I'm like, get back here. You. That's the best. That's the best start to the day. If I haven't had that, my day does not start right.
Awesome.
So tour is interesting sometimes.
Yeah, I hear that, man. I hear that. So without further ado, everybody, please remember to always ask yourself one super important question. What? Wait. Do you know it?
What is your bacon?
Yes.
I just guessed. I'll take it.
No,
I love that though.
Great.
I love the concept.
So what do you think of Jonathan?
You know what? Such a cool dude. And I feel like that conversation covered so much. And I was saying to you prior to even recording how Outline and Color is actually a newer band in my scope. So I feel like I learned a lot. And now, can't wait to see the tour dates, listen to more of the music. What do you think?
So Outline and Color is one of the bands that I found early on in my Spotify, like when I finally subscribed to it, when I finally subscribed to it and I started going through like the things on my phone, and then I was like, oh, you can, after you listen to an album, you can autoplay shit. Oh, that's totally cool. And Eat Your Heart Out was one of the first songs that came on afterwards.
Wow.
And that's how I found out about them. And I fucking, I enjoy them a lot. I enjoy the fact that they're not really, and that's something that we love about on this show too. And some of the artists that you've pitched to us is that we love the people that are like, they focus on a genre, they enjoy a genre, but they don't necessarily stick to that genre. They can pull other elements in, and I like heavy metal, like I like metal and rock, and even the butt rock stuff. Like that's my thing, right? Jimmy's very much like a Foo Fighters guy. Foo Fighters meets Cheap Trick kind of thing. And but you know what? Music is music, and if you can appreciate that and you can pull that into your music, dude, that's awesome.
That's a big conversation that on my podcast we talk about all the time too, because there's just, when you really look at music, there's no barriers except that the ones that like we try to make. So
right,
it was very cool to see Outline and Color like talk a little bit more about how they love hip hop, and country makes its way into the conversation, and all these different things. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool. So Tori, man, you were great. You were a great co-host. Thank you so much for helping us out while Jimmy is eating steak out in Omaha.
Well, hey, I couldn't do it without another great co-host, Takes two.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm okay at best, and I'll accept that. I'm okay with that. So before we sign off here, please let everybody know, and we have musicians that listen here, and I know that you're a PR person, and we've talked about this. If you haven't heard why PR people are important, you need to go back to Tori's episode in the archives and go listen, because I think we touched on it.
We did, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we should have.
I hope so.
I hope so, right? So go and, Tori, let them know where they can hit you up.
Yeah, so I guess it depends on what you're looking for from me. If you're just trying to hear some more band interviews, I host a podcast on Knotfest called She's a Band. all about female empowerment and supporting equality in the music industry. But it's not too stuffy. We just want to have some great conversations with women and anyone. Even we had Telly from The Word Alive out there because he's done some really great things to support women too. So
yes.
It's been really fun to do that. If you're a band wondering how to get on podcasts and how to get in blogs, I do that too. I work for Whoa, That's Fresh PR as a senior publicity manager. So I work with bands to help them get the word out there about their music through interviews and reviews and all those things. So that's essentially where you can find me, at Tori Kravitz on everything. Kravitz like Lenny.
Yeah. We'll have all the links down below in the comments on Strangerhood and all your podcast platforms. Me personally, you can find me at Me My Own Self Mike. I am on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. That's where you'll find everything from my escapades in Disney to the crap that's going on with this podcast and my band and stuff. Of course, everything Bacon is My Podcast, you can absolutely find on baconsmypodcast.com, where you can find all of the things like our sponsors, like Manscaped. You can find all awesome deals with Manscaped, Drink Wild Bills, Pod Decks, Native Clothing. We've got a whole bunch of stuff. The best deals on baconsmypodcast.com. Hit the sponsors link. Of course, Bacon is My Passion is Jimmy and I's collective music thing. We can talk about that a little bit more when we hit our Twitch stream on Thursday nights, 9 p.m. twitch.tv/baconismypod, where we do rewrites. We actually work with a producer in real time. You can see what it's like to record a record and watch your dreams be shot down when you think a part is really great and a producer goes, no, it's not that great. And then also we rewrite things, and then if we think they're that great, we go back to the producer and go, we think they're great, and they can go, nope, not so much. But you don't know. We don't know until it's live. And that's the fun of it, I guess. My band, Something Heavy, has a brand new single out. It's called Separate Ways. It's not a Journey cover, I swear. Check it out on all streaming platforms, at Something Heavy Music, on all the socials. And without further ado, thank you for listening to Bacon's My Podcast with my buddy Tori Kravitz right here. Tori, how do you think we close this out? By asking everybody one question, right?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I think there's one question they should be asked before we go.
And it's one question that doesn't matter. And we know that even though you're vegan, it doesn't make you a bad person. We swear.
No, it's true.
What is that question?
What is your bacon?
World peace, baby.
World peace.